نستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Alhamdulillah, it is indeed an honor to be here with you again this evening to bring before you our beloved Sheikh Yusuf Estes, who I can tell you is having fun right now to the right off of the stage. He's surrounded by a circle of our youth. Allahu Akbar. His message tonight will be just that, on the youth of our community, the youth of our ummah, and they love him so much, mashallah ta'ala, as much as, if not more so than we do. Sheikh Yusuf and I, as I mentioned last night, go back a long way, and it has indeed been an honor for me to have gotten to know this man, this very, very simple man from Texas, as he likes to say, from Texastan, alhamdulillah, from bush country. But alhamdulillah, he's the right man for the job. He's the real man from Texas. Allahu Akbar. Sheikh Yusuf has been blessed with the opportunity to carry the message of Islam all over the globe, and so many people have come to this deen by his efforts. And I don't say this to make him proud or build him up in any way like that, but just to recognize that Allah has blessed him with a very, very special gift. Having been a Christian minister before becoming Muslim, before coming to Islam, he has a special awareness and understanding of religion and the theology of Christianity that puts him in a very, very, very wonderful position to be able to address the needs of the non-Muslim community, be it Christian, Jewish, or even Hindu. So I'm wondering if we need to ask him when his game will be over, because he's playing a little game with the children right now. Alhamdulillah. Sheikh, how about you do that up on the stage? Alhamdulillah. Inshallah ta'ala, we'll be here for a couple more days, and we're looking forward to a wonderful conclusion to this event. As you know, Sheikh Bilal Phillips has arrived, and we're looking forward to hearing from him later this evening. And hopefully we'll hear from Sheikh Yusuf Estes as soon as the game is over. Alhamdulillah. So we're going to ask our beloved Sheikh, if he would, to come and share his knowledge with us. We ask that you open your ears and be attentive. For our non-Muslims in the audience, we encourage you to write your questions down, and we welcome any and all questions that you may have at the conclusion of the lecture. So at this time, I would like to bring before you our beloved Sheikh Yusuf Estes. Allahu Akbar!
Allahu Akbar! Come on, guys!
Allahu Akbar.
MashaAllah! What do you think? This is the future of Islam. Right here. Give him a big Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar! I love these guys. Look at this. Peace. The vision of Islam. And who is more peaceful than these little babies here? We love all of them, and we make big dua for them, because tonight's program is about them, and it's for them. Inshallah. Okay, guys. Remember? Here you go. Follow. Follow the leader. Relax, remember. وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين هو الذي جعلنا مسلمين والصلاة والسلام على رسولك الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala قال في القرآن الكريم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا واتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتون إلا وأنتم مسلمون واعتصموا بحبل الله جميعا ولا تفرقوا. The words I read to you just now are from the Holy Quran. This is the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The meaning of it is so deep and so important that our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he used to read this or recite this in almost every Jummah speech. And so did so many of the companions and their followers and followers after them. I want to emphasize this because the importance of these words will affect us today. Allah says, O you who believe, to have taqwa for Allah. Taqwa for Allah. And it's Allah's right that you have this taqwa for Him. And then Allah says, and don't die except in the state of Aslama. Don't die except that you are Muslims. Don't die except that you are in the submission to the one true God, doing what He wants you to do. Taqwa is going to be part of what I'm going to talk about tonight, so I'll come back and translate that for you in a minute. But I want to read into the next verse because often the imams don't do that anymore, but it is important to know this. And hold fast, all of you together, to the habl of Allah, the cable or the rope of Allah. And don't divide up. Do not make faraqah. Haramat tafaraqah. It is haram for Muslims to make faraqah. Separation and division. If we can overcome these two things, to make a big difference in this world and for ourselves in the next world. Taqwa is the first, faraqah is the second. Taqwa means to put a partition or hijab between you and something. You say, wait a minute, you want me to have taqwa for Allah? How am I going to put a partition, a hijab, or a curtain between me and Allah? That's not possible. But what it's talking about is a partition between you and the punishment of Allah, the anger of Allah. And what is that? And it's shown to us in the Quran clearly what it is to have this taqwa. It is to firmly believe in Allah, to believe in al-ghaib, to establish our worship, the salah, and to pay the zakah, and to believe in what's revealed to Muhammad and what is revealed to the people before us. And all of this and more is about our taqwa. Fasting the month of Ramadan also helps us build taqwa. Giving charity, especially in times of difficulty for ourselves. Several emails have come to me just in the last 24 hours from right here in India, telling me about difficulties that our brothers and sisters are suffering about wealth, money, position, family, health, diseases, and they're saying, why? Why is this happening to me? Obviously, I wouldn't be able to go into big detail even if I knew all of their situation, but it's suffice to say that all of us are being tested by Allah. Each and every one of us, regardless of our age, we're in this situation. Some of it is punishment on us for what we're doing wrong, and some of it is a test. For sure, it is Allah who has put us in this situation. Is that true? Yes. And it's only Allah who is going to get us out of the situation. Is that true? Unfortunately, we say it with our lips, but we don't really act on it. If I need money bad. I got to pay a bill tomorrow. I'm thinking, who can I call on? Who can I, let's see, what's the phone number for that guy? He said he would, wait, let me ask my father. My uncle has some, or I can go to the bank. Astaghfirullah, I know it's haram, but I got to pay my bill, and it's haram not to pay the bill. And all of the ones that I mentioned are created by Allah. All of the people I just mentioned were created by Allah. Why didn't I think, go to Allah? Who put me in the circumstance? Allah. And who can get me out? Allah. So now we'll turn our attention to the second word, which is faraqa. To divide or separate the Muslims is haram. It is a very serious offense in Islam, and it's a serious offense in front of Allah. Whoever divides the Muslims up cannot have much to hope for on the Day of Judgment with Allah. The Prophet of Islam, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace be upon him, told us, as the Jews and the Christians divided up into 71 or 72 groups, the Muslims will also divide into 73. In all of them, I will be in the hell fire, except for one. The ones that me and my companions are on today. How many of you have heard about this before? You've heard? Everybody's raising their hand, mashallah. You heard about it. So this means you're not going to be in any of those groups, right? Huh? This means you're going to warn the others. You're going to tell them about the danger of this, right? To be in which group? The group that the Prophet ﷺ and his companions were on, which is called what? It's called what? What group is that called? Sunnis. Prophet ﷺ called himself a Sunni? No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Shiite? No. Sufi? No. No. What group? I just told you. وَلَا تَمُوتُونَ إِلَّا وَأَنْتُمْ. Don't die except that you are Muslim. That's the group. And somebody said, no, but our sheikh told us we have to have a different name to distinguish us from these people of Ahl Bidah, those who are the improvisers and the innovators who are coming up with stuff. We have to distinguish ourselves. We have to be the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Cool stuff. And our children are listening to this and picking up on it and thinking, okay, I got to be in that group because that's the right group. But then another group came along and said, no. You have to be on the way of the righteous predecessors, who in Arabic this is the Salaf. And they were righteous. Salih. Salih. That's us. But the ayah didn't say that either, did it? And for sure you don't want to even talk about the word Wahhabi. Don't even start that. Because either you will insult it and say something against the word, which could be an act of kufr, or you will put yourself as though you're a part of the word, which is also an act of kufr. Wahhabi is from what word? Wahhab. Allah is Al-Wahhab, yes or no? Allah is Al-Wahhab, the bestower. And if you want to be associated with this name of Allah, you have to say Abdul Wahhab. So you have to say with the Abdul Wahid, Abdul Wahab, no, it's too much, I can't do it. The person that they're really making fun of when they say that is a man named Muhammad, actually. Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahab. And they didn't want to call them the Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhabis, so they just slaughtered it and called it Wahhabi. But if you said you're Wahhabi, you're saying you're Allah or something like Allah, which is, as I said, bad. And if you make fun of it, you're making fun of the name of Allah. So leave it. Why you need this name? And you're confusing these children. These guys, they're innocent. They're born innocent. You know that. The Prophet ﷺ told us. The condition of Islam itself is like the condition of a child. The fitrah of the child is the fitrah of Islam, and the fitrah of Islam is the fitrah of the child. The best way to explain Islam to a non-Muslim is telling you, see this child, this baby, this is Islam. Innocent. Willing to obey. Willing to do whatever it takes to please the one in authority. That's what Islam means. And how do you get that when you divide up into these groups? And the children are looking at us, and they will make the same exact mistakes or worse. Because that's the way human beings always do. How many of you remember the story of Noah, alayhi salam? You remember the story of Noah, the prophet, that was in the boat and went out into the water, and all the other people drowned except for them? You remember the story, yeah? The people of Noah were the first ones to put these grave markers up where righteous, holy people had been buried. They did it because they wanted the next generation to remember those righteous people and the good deeds and the things that they did. They said, these guys were the good guys. Be like them. The next generation came along and said, these guys, you know, they're the righteous ones, but they're pointing at a statue. And some generations later, the people are praying straight to the statue instead of to Allah. How many of you know the story? You know it? This is what happens. Each generation will take the innovation to another level, and another level, and another level, until you got people standing in line at a grave, where the person's dead in the grave. 500 years ago they buried Sheikh so-and-so here, and he was a wali of Allah, and blah, 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 and let's all line up here and go to him and drop stuff at the grave and tell him all about it. Have you heard about this? And when you teach these children to do that, they will add something else to the same thing. Is that true or false? You know it's true. And by the way, what happens if they exhume the grave just to find out for sure who is really there, and they find out it wasn't even a human anyway, it was a camel or a donkey? Oops. And I know I'm going to go out on some real loose ground here when I say this, but there are people all over this planet that have hairs that they go around with, saying they have hair from the Prophet ﷺ. Now, maybe you know somebody that has 3 hairs or 4 hairs or 5 hairs, but in all the countries that I visited together, I found out there's enough hairs out there to cover an entire camel. Now, maybe they're all from the Prophet ﷺ. I'm not saying, I don't know. But for sure, I'm not going to consider that hair to bring me any good luck. or to keep anything away from me, because the hair is in the creation, and only the Creator can do that. Is that true or false? Brothers and sisters in Islam, some of you, you've known these things for years, but you just didn't feel like going up against your grandparents, your uncles, your fathers. You just let it go. You just be quiet and sit there quietly and, well, you know. But it's your obligation in front of Allah to make sure that these kiddos, these youth, that they know the difference of what's real Islam and what's not. As far as what group, it's okay to study in the madhab of Abu Hanifa, but you won't call yourself a Hanafi, because you're not. You're not from him. You're not one of his children. Just, I studied it, I know that, this is the good fit, we have some good information, fine. But if you said, I'm a Hanafi, then somebody else said he's a Shafi, now you got an excuse to start fighting right away. Or where do you put your hands when you pray? Huh? I'm happy you came to pray. I'm thrilled to death. We're in the front line, mashallah. So one brother puts his hands here, one puts them here, one puts them there. I mean, you know, as long as he doesn't put them on his head, I think we can get them. We don't need that. And then this idea, when a brother is making mistakes, who in this audience, I see we got a pretty big audience here, who in this audience is the Sheikh of Islam for India, the one who knows everything there is to know about Islam? Would you please raise your hand? Maybe Sheikh, maybe from the sisters, you know everything there is to know about Islam. No? Oh, okay. That's good. Unfortunately, in some masjids, there are some people who think they know everything there is to know. And maybe somebody, he didn't pray before. He wants to, but he's just been too nervous about it. You know, I didn't ever pray. I need to start salah. So finally he's going to go in the masjid. And I'm going to pray. Oh, he's been there in Tarway, you know, but not for real salah. Not for the obligatory salah. So he goes in, you know. And as soon as he walks in, a group of brothers sitting there look at him and go, Astaghfirullah. What did I do? He came in on the wrong foot. He came in on the left. Did you see him? Oh, astaghfirullah. He didn't even know. You're looking at him and he's like, what? What? Astaghfirullah. Look at his pants. His pants are dragging on the ground. Astaghfirullah. He doesn't know. Or right here in India. This happened in India. It became very famous in Texas because the brothers were telling everybody. Some brothers from India came back to Gujarat to visit after many years, and then they came back to Texas and they were telling everybody about the incident. They said, we went to pray Asr Salat, the afternoon prayer. After the prayer, one brother, he turned to the other one and he said, your prayer does not count. You have to pray again. He said, why? You didn't have on a kufi, brother. That really happened 10 years ago, right here in India. The imam of the masjid went to the brother with the big mouth. He said, excuse me, when you came in the masjid, did you ask anybody to come in with you to pray? Did you see anybody you knew out there that wasn't praying? He said, yeah. Did you see any of our youth out there? Yeah. Did you ask them to come in and pray? No. He said, but the one who did come in to pray, you trying to scare him away. Who do you work for? Think about it. It is the obligation of the knowledgeable brothers and sisters, those who have real knowledge of deen, to politely take somebody aside and ask them if they would like to know how to worship Allah better. That's how you start it out. You don't start out by saying, "Brother, this is haram." This is not the way of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Is it? Is it? Our youth cannot take this. They will either run away from Islam, or they'll get in one of the groups and be worse than the people that were starting the group in the first place. Some of the most respected names, teachers and scholars in the last century, today are being mocked by people who claim they follow them. The youth 20 years ago who were listening to Sheikh Abdulaziz bin Baz, rahimahullah, and Sheikh Muhammad Nasiruddin al-Albani, rahimahullah. They sat and they listened, and then they went on to teach to the next generation. Abdulaziz bin Baz said, and he said, and this and that, and if you go back and look, he didn't say that. Or if he said it, he didn't say it the way that they interpret it. What's going to happen if we continue to do this? We're going to lose our kids. And Shaitan is going to be very happy. Islam is something for everybody. Not everybody's as great as you are. Not everybody's perfect like you are. Some of us, we have faults. Some of us, we're miskeen in front of Allah. Some of us would like to worship Allah and learn without somebody cutting us down and making us feel like an idiot. I'm your brother in Islam. You're my brother in Islam. Islam teaches me to respect you and give you all the honor and the dignity. And I must not scratch even the dignity of any person, Muslim or non-Muslim. Is that true or false? So how would it be in front of the people? In front of the people, if I say something wrong and you go, "Hey, you don't know what you're talking about," what will happen? You discourage and chase away the lifeblood of the future of Islam. Give them a chance. And Allah says about this in the Quran, كُنْتُمْ خَيْرَ أُمَّةٍ أُخْرِجَتْ لِلنَّاسِ تَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَتَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنكَرِ وَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ. How many of you know this verse? How many of you know the rest of the verse? That's not all of it. Anybody know the rest of it? And if the people of the book had believed and had iman or faith, that would be better for them. From them are those who have iman. But most of them are disobedient. So this verse is talking about Jews and Christians as well as Muslims, and showing us something very important. And whenever you do tafsir of Quran, you always go to Quran first. And what we find in the Quran about the Jews and Christians regarding faith, belief in Islam is in Surah Al-Bayyinah. وَمَا أُمِرُوا إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ دِينَهُ حُنَفَاءَ وَيُقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَيُؤْتُوا الزَّكَاةَ وَذَلِكَ دِينُ الْقَيِّمَةِ. And the people before us were not ordered any more than to do this: worship Allah alone without partners. La ilaha illallah. And keep the religion pure for Him, Hunafa. Wa yuqimu salah, and establish the salah. Wa yutu zakah, and pay the zakah. Wa dhalika deen al-qayyimah. And this is the deen, this is the way of Islam. Most clear. I love these children. I love them so much. I want to see them have a chance. And the only way they're going to get a decent chance is if you and I begin to really learn Deen from Quran and Sunnah and stop dividing up into these groups and stop insulting each other and cutting each other down. Our Prophet ﷺ was asked about this subject exactly, who is a Muslim and who is not. Somebody wants to know, what makes this guy a Muslim or not a Muslim? He said, whoever says La ilaha illallah and faces our Qibla in Salah and pays the zakah, he's a Muslim. And his life and his property are safe from your hand. And if you said, yes, but brother, these people do X and Y and Z, send me an email. Send me an email and we'll find out if their X is really wrong, if their Y is really bad, and if the Z is really out of Islam. At the same time, maybe they're doing ABC, but you don't do, and you've lost some of your being by not knowing about it. I promise you there's no group that's perfect out there. It can't be, because Rasul Sallallahu already told us about that. Except those who are not in these groups, just plain Muslim. Now, having said that, there are organizations that all of us think highly of, and I'm not talking about that. An organization to help the children, an organization for the orphans, an organization for education, an organization that brings about brotherly love and understanding. Yes, but as soon as you get a name on there and it has a different system of belief or action, be careful. Be careful. Could be shaitan calling you to a group. I'm going to end with this. The Prophet ﷺ drew a straight line in the dirt. He said, this is the straight path to Allah. Then he drew angles off of the straight line. And he said, these are the different groups going out of Islam. What group do I want to be in? Muslim. 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 And I want this for you, for me, and for our children, for the future of Islam. Now I want to stop right here because I want to give a chance for questions and answers, because your input is what's really valuable to us at this stage. Jazakumullah khair. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us and free us of these groups and put us on the Sirat al-Mustaqim. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa barakatuh. Jazakumullah khairan, Shaykh. Alhamdulillah wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. At this time, we're going to ask the audience to respond to the 3 microphones that are placed throughout. We have the 2 mics to my left for the men, 1 mic for the ladies in the rear. And we do have some rules governing the questions. First, we're asking that all non-Muslims who are here, that you be given first choice to ask your questions. It does not have to pertain specifically to the topic. If you're a non-Muslim, we welcome you to ask whatever question you may have for the Shaykh this evening. Also, we ask that you only ask, for the Muslims, only ask 1 question at a time. And if you have multiple questions, to go to the rear of the line in order to allow others in front of you to, or behind you, to have the opportunity to ask the questions. Written questions will be given second priority. We ask that you, in asking your question, that you be brief and concise, to the point, that you not make statements or give a lecture while you're questioning. And we'll try to get to as many questions as we possibly can before the conclusion of this portion of the program. So if there are any questions at this time, we'll begin at this moment. Do we have any ladies that want to ask any questions? First, we have a saying in America, ladies before gentlemen. So since they got left out last night, if there are any ladies who would like to ask their question, we'll start with you tonight, inshallah. When the sisters have any questions? Okay, it seems questions at this time. So we'll start with the mic up front. Yes, brother, please state your name and your occupation.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi.
My name is Kashif. I'm a businessman by profession. Alhamdulillah. My question to the Sheikh is, when you're on your own path seeking knowledge of Islam, not with any prejudices, trying to honestly learn step by step, Sheikh, how do you differentiate the scholars from the du'at guys? I'm talking about the speakers and the prominent scholars who have the bunch of knowledge. Because this question is for the reason, sometimes you learn probably a fact or something from a particular scholar's book, and when you want to clarify the issues, you address this to a scholar and ask, what do you say about this? Those scholars, they simply respond saying, he is not a scholar. Right?
Is that your question?
Sheikh Hassan?
Yes. We will restate the question for the audience. But brother is asking, when one is seeking knowledge of Islam, how does he differentiate between the genuine scholars of Islam and the dua or the callers to Islam? Because sometimes in taking various issues to the scholars, one scholar may say that the other person is not a scholar. So how can you differentiate, or how can the seekers of knowledge differentiate between the callers to Islam and the genuine scholars? I think they're spraying for mosquitoes, is that it? Mosquito repellent?
Sorry?
Should we come back later, maybe, when they're not so busy?
I think that would be a good idea, but we need the program organizer to take care of that. Let's be patient. Alhamdulillah.
Sure. One second. Since you repeated the question,
Yes.
My main core point is, even when you study the text of the prominent scholars, right, and when you have to cross-check that with the other, some other speaker or scholar, to the reference of what we have researched, they respond, if the views are different than what we hold on, they simply remark as saying, oh, so-and-so Sheikh, he's not a scholar, he just picked up from some book, copied here and there, and etc.
This is two questions in one.
No,
It is two questions in one. The first question is, how do you distinguish between the dua and the scholar? The second question is, how should the scholars relate or respect one another? Okay?
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. First of all, I don't ever consider myself a scholar of anything. I'm just somebody that I love Islam, I love Allah, I love the Muslims. Allah gave me the ability to speak. And I try to use that in a way that I hope will be pleasing to Allah. So it means I have to spend a lot of time with scholars to learn from them the information, and then try to give it to you, share it with us in an easy way. Oftentimes scholars present things that are over our head and we can't catch it all, especially when they go to the Arabic language. For them, it's a wonderful thing and they're happy to share this great knowledge, but it's so big and so powerful and we're so small and weak. So the difference between a du'at, someone close as a da'i for Islam, and one who's an alim, there's a very big difference in some ways and very similar in other ways. The difference is that one of them has spent his entire life studying, memorizing the Quran, studying the language itself, so that he is an expert in the words and the meaning of the words. Also that he studied hadith, fiqh, usul fiqh, Quran, Qiraat. Maybe he has different types of recitation that he can do. Additionally, he will have studied the seerah, or the history of the Prophet's biography, the history of Islam itself over the many centuries. Many of the things an alim would have that you and I, we don't even know what word to type in Google to find it. So they're ulama, and they've spent their whole lives in this area. And these are special people. They preserve Islam in the old-fashioned way by memory. It's a beautiful thing to sit with a real alim. But for the most part, in these programs like you see us do, for the TV companies, for these conferences and things, we're not ulama. Well, some of them are pretty knowledgeable, but not real ulama. Most of us are just du'at, calling to Islam. Some have spent decades studying how to present Islam. But none of us want you to come to us and ask for fatwa. Not really. A fatwa is an Islamic ruling, and this has to come from a judge or someone who is really, really well-versed and steeped in the knowledge and history of examples. An alim doesn't just listen to the question, he looks at the condition around the question. I'll give you one example. And remember, I said I'm not an alim, but still sometimes Allah gives you at least a little insight to it. So a brother comes to me and he starts telling me, oh, you know, I want to talk to you about a subject. Oh, it's so important, it's so amazing. I got, I said, okay, what is it? My wife, she does, oh, and no, my wife. I said, stop. I have to stop till you bring me something and then I can listen to you. I said, what? I said, go find a coin and bring it to me. He said, I got a coin in my pocket. I said, wait. I want a special coin. A coin that only has one side. He thought about it and he said, okay. Because I don't want to listen to one side of the story. There is no such thing as a coin with one side. And there's also no such thing as I'm going to listen to you talk about your wife when she's not here. Make sense? So this is now hikmah. Anybody can have hikmah because that's a gift from Allah. You don't have to be a big alim to have hikmah. But when you have a big alim who has hikmah, then he becomes amazing, like Abu Hanifa. Rahimahullah. He was one of those people that really had it. Imam Shafi, he had a tremendous ability to memorize instantly whole books in a single night. So each scholar has something good about them. But all of us who are the du'at, the da'is for Islam, and those who are the ulama, have one common thing, and that is we all wish to see more people enter Islam and learn about it and put it into practice. Whether they be from Muslim families or non-Muslim families, we wish for more people to have the knowledge and come to it. So that's the best way I can answer that. The way you can tell the difference, you can't always tell. Unless you spend time with them and travel with them. And then you come to learn about the knowledge that one has, or the wisdom another one has, or the beautiful speech that another has, and you'll wind up saying that they're all good. Tonight, after this program right here, one of my favorite teachers, one of the first that I ever read any of his books, I was a brand new Muslim, not even 3 days old, when I was given one of his books called the Tafsir of Surah Al-Hujurat. He's going to be on the stage, inshallah, just in a few minutes. And that's Dr. Bilal Phillips, Abu Amin Bilal Phillips. His works are amazing and a big inspiration to me from the beginning. Another great scholar and teacher is Dr. Jafar Sheikh Idris, who was with us the last time we were here. Another personal friend of mine. I know these guys. I love them. As teachers and as friends as well. Siraj Wahaj. Anybody heard of Siraj Wahaj? In New York? And he's a beautiful caller to Islam. Wonderful caller to Islam. And he was the one who inspired me in 1993 to do what I'm doing right now. So all of these great scholars and callers to Islam can benefit us. So it really doesn't matter, does it? Because if he knows basic Islam, he's not going to go out and tell you something that he doesn't have a foundation to stand on when he says it. Because now let's come to the rest of your question. How do I know what to take from somebody? That's easy. A 10-year-old boy in Islam should be able to answer that question for you. How do I know where to take it? I will take it from a non-Muslim, provided he goes to what source? Quran and Sunnah. If he said Allah said in the Quran, I'll go look it up, but he said it. Okay, there. Because it's not really the person, he's just giving you direction to the real thing. The real thing in Islam is only the Quran, only the Sunnah. And I'll go back to what I said in our speech. Prophet ﷺ said, no matter how much they divide, you divide more, all of them in the hellfire, ila wahid. The one who's on what we're on today, and he was talking about Quran and Sunnah. Make sense? That was a good question. Thank you, brother.
At this time, we'll take a question from the sisters. The young lady standing at the mic. Assalamu alaikum. If you would state your name and your occupation, little sister.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Minhaj Jafri. I am studying in class 3. How do I fear Allah when I am not able to see Him?
Very good question. That's a good question. She read it so good you don't have to repeat it.
Alhamdulillah.
How do you fear Allah when you can't see Him? This was said by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When the angel Jibril came to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he took the form of a man, a human being, and the companions didn't know who it was. And he went right in front of Muhammad and he put himself on the ground, put his knees to his knees and his hands on his thighs, and he said to him, "What is Islam?"
to remind the audience, immediately at the conclusion of Sheikh Bilal Phillips' lecture, we'll have the Salat al-Isha fi Jama'ah. So we appreciate your patience, inshallah ta'ala, as we proceed with the questions and answers until the conclusion of this program. So again, the question was,
Yeah, we got it.
how do you see Allah, or how do you believe in Allah if you cannot see Him? Alhamdulillah.
The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was asked a similar question by the angel Jibril, who had taken the form of a man. And he'd come to Prophet Muhammad. The companions didn't know who he was. And he put himself down on the ground with his knees to the Prophet's knees and his hands on his thighs. And he looked him right in the eye and he said, "What is Islam?" The answer was, it's to say the Shahada, perform the Salah, pay the Zakah, and Ramadan. In some narrations, in the Hajj. He said, "You're right." And the companions, they were shocked. Who is this guy to say a question and then judge whether or not he's right? They then asked him, "What is Iman?" And he told them, Iman is to believe in Allah and His angels and His books and His prophets, the Day of Judgment, and the predestination or the qadr of Allah. And then he asked him, "What is Ihsan?" He said, Ihsan is to worship Allah as though you see Him, even though you don't, but always keeping in mind that He sees you. And then the end of it is to talk about the last days, but that doesn't serve our purpose today. I want you to realize that this is not a new question. It's a good question to remind us, how can I believe in Allah when I don't see Him? When I'm sharing Islam with other people, though, and they say, well, especially atheists, for instance, what proof do you have that there is God? We don't see God, we don't hear God, we don't smell, taste, feel, imagine. How can there be such a thing? At the same time, I'll ask you a question. Can you see electricity? Can you see it? No. You can only see what electricity produces, but you don't see electricity. But it's still there. If you doubt it, just take your pen and stick it into the thing, you know. You'll be saying, I am a believer in electricity. Oh, yeah. And what about cold? Hot and cold. Do you believe in hot, but you don't see it? You believe in cold, but you don't see it? You see what it produces, but you don't see it. What about sounds? There are sounds that I cannot hear, but a dog can hear it, or a donkey can hear it, or a rooster can hear it. I don't hear it. So there are sounds that we don't hear. There are many things in the creation of Allah that we're not able to comprehend at all. We have no sense of it. But how about Allah? And Allah is not in the creation. But what we see is the evidence of what Allah has produced, and then we can compare it to what Allah has revealed, because He's given us two things. He's given us this life. You can look around. What do you see? Now look in His speech and see what He said about what you see. Do you see? Allah asks you in the Quran, do you see? Have you not thought? Didn't you think? Does Allah talk to you that way? Yeah, and then He gives you a comparison of things that people didn't even know back then that we know today. So we have a website for you. Go to the website called ScienceIslam.com. ScienceIslam.com, and you're going to find a lot of amazing things there, inshallah. Next question.
Thank you very much for your question. We'll go to the news mic in the rear.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Salim Ahmad. I'm working in a bank here. So my question is, in your speech you have mentioned that Muslims will be split into 73 groups and one group goes to Jannah. it means people of other 72 groups are equal to non-Muslims. If this is the case, should it not be our main effort to bring all these 72 group people under one roof? If this happens, then itself will be a big message to non-Muslims.
The question being asked related to the statement in the lecture that the Muslims will be divided into 73 groups and all of them will go to the hellfire except for one. So shouldn't our objective be to bring all of the 72 other groups into one group so that this would be a great example for the non-Muslims? Otherwise, the 72 groups going to the hellfire would be just like the non-Muslims.
Okay, I'm going to ask you the question. I'm going to ask the audience the question. If out of the 73 groups, all of them are going to go to hell except one, should we be all calling to another group? Should we call everybody to this one group? Huh? I got a better idea. Let's just call everybody out of their group. Just call them out of their group, and let's just be Muslims. How about that idea? I don't need a label. The United States government gave me my label a long time ago. It's called Muslim. That's good enough for me. What do you think? Let's call, but let's call them out, not to another group. Let's don't start another one and say, okay, we're the saved group Muslims. Saved group Muslims. We're the saved group. Come on, everybody get into it. That's not going to work. What we have to do is call everybody back to the original group, which is just Muslim. Quran, Sunnah. Quran, Sunnah. Reliable sources. And, of course, we need scholars. Never have I said we don't need scholars. You heard me just mention that in the first answer. But at the same time, even if the scholar happens to be in a group, I don't need to join his group. I've sat with Sufi scholars, Shiite scholars. I sat with those of the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, the so-called Sunnis and Sufis of all tariqas even. And I took benefit where I could take benefit. But anytime they said something that didn't line up with what was the main straight line that the Prophet ﷺ talked about, then that's the part I said, okay guys, well that's where we have to go, you know. I can't do that. But the part where they call to La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah, establish the salat, pay the zakat, fast Ramadan, and do Hajj, well, that's Islam. No problem. But I'm just not going to do the other things that we can't find evidence for. But if you have an evidence, first thing I learned before I even accepted Islam is, Islam has an evidence for everything it teaches. And if you don't find the evidence in the Quran, or the Sunnah, or the teachings of the earliest companions, you're not obliged to go for it unless somebody can come up with it. That make sense? Make sense?
Yes, cool.
Okay. We have a question here at the front. Young man, please state your name and occupation.
Assalamu alaikum. I came to not to ask a question. I came to give you a support to the Father Yusuf and witness of Allah in 5 words. One, the Allah who taught me is, Allah means the universal manifestation of the universe. So nobody can ask that He is only for me. The beauty, the holiness, the light, sound of the whole universe for all people. So you can't proclaim that this is only for us. So those who know the light and sound, the universal truth, they are all merging with the Allah. And the second one, He personally talked with me and He has given me a gift of the golden grape. And one time He invited me, when I was staying in my house in Ooty, there was a beautiful mosque in top of the mountain. I used to go to my roof and I used to see that. But many times it happened. But after some time, one time there was a small voice comes from there. He came to me, he came to me, he came to me. Then one day I went there. Then I took the holy book in my head and bowed in front of him. And he has given the special message that I have shared with many of the Hindu and the Christian people and even those who are not.
Excuse me. I have to, in all honesty and fairness to the rest of the audience,
Yes,
we
yes.
have people who
All these
wait to
witnesses
ask
supporting
questions.
his, actually he told that the Allah is meant for not only for the Muslim, those who are the scholar, those who know him personally, they can give the testimony. For his speech, I am giving this witness. And third one, the Muslim fearness, the war, the terrorism is only from your groups, the 73 groups within the Muslim people and the Christian people. And for that you want to come out, you have to fight only by the wisdom, not by the weapon. Wisdom means knowing the light and the sound of the universe, the Father, to even the secret inside the holiness of the holiness book. And fifth one is, once you know the universal truth, like all the division and the barrier in between all religious conflict is like in the science, physics, chemistry, biology, geology, like that. But when knowing the truth of the real science, they will merge into the universal science. That universal science only speaks, has given us a secret inside the ground. So those who know the truth from the whatever the religious background, they can merge into the Allah. The Allah means universal manifestation of the
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
this is my support and recommendation and witness to all your Muslim people. Let us avoid the weapons, let us use the wisdom. Then we can follow
I
the
remember in the beginning that he
Yes,
said,
sir.
don't make any speeches, and let's go with the question. But we do thank you very much for your opinion. And as far as some of the statements you made, is not what I said. I never said that Allah is the manifestation in the creation. As a matter of fact, that's something we don't believe. We don't believe that Allah is in the creation. We don't believe the creation is Allah. We don't believe Allah needs the creation. And in fact, all of the creation of Allah together, eventually Allah is going to destroy it. We already know that. Because Allah does not love this creation. All of the dunya, all of the creation together, in the sight of Allah, is not equal even to what we would have an estimation of a dead goat. And that was said by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we're not in love with this creation, we're not in love with the universe, but we are in love with Allah, and we very much want to obey Him. And He's ordered us to take care of it and respect it, but at the same time don't fall in love with it. Okay? And by the way, we don't consider Allah as a father, and we don't know how that father image thing. One final thing is, I notice a lot of you guys, you bow to each other. I know, kind of like the Japanese, they like to bow all the time and do that. It's actually better for us as Muslims if we only bow to Allah. This is better. Just save that for Allah. You might think you're giving respect to me by going like this or something like that, but you know what? I don't need it. First of all, I'm not worthy of it. And the second thing is, Allah doesn't like it, so save the bowing for Allah, and that'll be better for you. And by the way, if you really want to get more guidance, you can go inside your own heart and ask Allah to guide you. Maybe, who knows, next time we come here, you'll be a Muslim too. Inshallah.
We'd like to take the next question from our sisters in the rear. If you would please state your name and your occupation.
Assalamu alaikum, brother. My name is Amreen and I'm a student. My question is, in many schools and colleges, in application forms, there is a separate column for which religion the person belongs to. Not only the religion, they also request the caste or creed to which the person belongs to. Caste or creed. So, brother, can you just reason this out?
If I understand your question correctly, you're asking how you should respond to an application which asks that you list your religion and also your caste or creed as a Muslim. Is that correct?
Yes, sister. Yes, brother.
Well, I think that's something that you should ask somebody here locally to give you better insight on it, because in my country that's not possible. You can't ask somebody their religion. It's forbidden actually to ask that question. However, when I go to other countries, they do ask you, what's your religion? And it happened to me just recently. We were in Hajj this past year. And when we were coming back from the masjid by our Suburban, there was a man laying down behind it. He had a gash in his head, and he was knocked unconscious against the wall. And I went over to him, and I said, this man's got something wrong. They said, oh, he's just asleep. I said, no, you see that blood? They said, oh, he's okay. I said, no, it doesn't look right. Turns out he had been hit by a car with the mirror of the car had hit him. And he had lost consciousness. And I was trying to get the ambulance over there. In the meantime, some brothers from Jordan who were there on business, not for Hajj, for business, and they were there, and they saw, and they come over, they're trying to help, and they were talking to me in English. And they were looking at, staring at me, and they were saying, well, where are you from? I said, I'm from America. America? I said, yeah. Texas. Texas? Bush? I said, yeah, Texas. Now remember, I just left. We're in Hajj. I just left from the Haram. I'm wearing what? 2 towels. I'm in Mecca. Nobody can get in there except what? And he said, Muslim? Muslim? Subhanallah. I looked at him. I said, Saidi? Because in Arabic, this means, are you one of the people from Upper Egypt that doesn't catch on? What am I doing standing here with 2 towels? Why am I here in Mecca if I'm not a Muslim doing Hajj? But the funniest one, though, was when I went back to my own country one time. I was coming back from Mexico. And when I entered, they grabbed me right away from the airplane. They said, we can talk to you. Surprise. And well, they were talking, one of the things came up is, well, we see you're a Muslim, because see, they can't ask you what religion are you. They say, we see you're a Muslim. Which kind are you? So what do you mean? They said, well, what kind of Muslim are you? I said, old. They said, no, we mean like, and they really were getting hung up. Are you this guy? Are you a Sufi, Shiite, Ahmadi, Qadiani, and Baha'i? They went down a big list of all the things, And I know I'm going to be there all day if I don't come up with something. I said, I'm a Christian Muslim. They said, what? And he's looking. Krishna? I said, no. Christian Muslim. I was a Christian. I became a Muslim. I said, okay, you can go. If they ask you if you're a Muslim, say yes. They want to know which caste. I think that's probably for the Hindus. I think so. But, I don't know. Ask somebody locally, they'll help you with that.
The next question we'll take from the rear. Our brother, please state your name and occupation.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Wa alaikum assalam wa barakatuh.
Dear Sheikh, my name is Umar Sultan. I am from Kashmir. And my question to you is, what should be my approach to those persons who are illiterate, who doesn't know writing and reading, especially they follow the religion what they hear from their sheikhs. If their sheikh is a deviant one, they follow them, and if their sheikh is a person who follows the Quran and the Sunnah, they follow him. What should be our approach? Okay,
the question is, how should he as a da'i respond or assist those who are illiterate, who cannot read or write, and they are left to just following the guidance of their sheikh?
Yes,
is that correct?
Yes, brother.
First of all, I'm happy to find anybody that wants to lead Salat these days. And if he's memorized the Quran and he's leading you in Salah, this is good. But just because somebody leads the Salah doesn't mean he's your alim. And just because he sits and reads to you out of a book after Salah doesn't make him an alim. And regardless of how many classes he teaches in Islam, even Sheikh Bilal Phillips, who has a doctorate in Islam, and he's written many books, and for all intents and purposes, it would be easy to say he's one of the best scholars in the English language for Islam. I would not have any problem to say that. At the same time, and me not even qualified to be a student from him. In fact, I just recently enrolled in this new program. I'll do a commercial for him right now, by the way. Go to my website, IslamNewsroom.com, and click on the link, and you can get in a free program for learning Islam from Dr. Bilal Phillips. And it will take you to his website. I could have given you his website, but I'm trying to get extra clicks for mine, okay? Anyway, what I'm telling you is, as much as he has knowledge, still when he says something, I'll go, what's that? Where'd you get that from? And we do. We sit and we discuss. Dr. Jafar Sheikh Idris, one of the most respected of all the scholars who speaks Arabic and English, really, he's a wonderful teacher, but still, and he's a dear friend. I go to his house and we sit together. If he says something I don't understand, or where did you get this from? And he'll say from this, or it's in such and such a book. I go, yeah, but I thought that book was so-and-so. Yes, but, and then they'll explain. If a scholar can't do that, he's not really a scholar. But if he tells you something that's right, follow that. But we don't do what they call in Arabic taqleed, which means blind following. That's where you get in big trouble. If somebody says, well, Hanafi, just do it, that's not Islam. What's Islam is to say, we're Muslims, and here's the proof. We're Muslims, here's the proof. If they can do that, follow it. But if they don't have a proof, stay away from it. Now, there's questionable areas also that come up, and you're not sure about. These, be sure, especially like if somebody said, well, in our tariqah we do this and that. And they have something from Quran, but still go to another scholar who's not maybe from that particular mentality and compare it and find out. Because if it's good, do it. If it's not authentic, then avoid it. Make sense? And we love everybody. I want everybody to go to Jannah. I hope every single one of us goes to Jannah. The worst thing it could happen is to imagine that somebody didn't get to go. Right? So, let's don't try to separate. Let's look for the things that will help us be together. But I will call out of the groups to the main fold of Islam. Just be in the middle. And most of you are already there anyway. You are there in your own thinking. I know you are because I talk to you guys. And you say I'm this, I'm that, but when it comes down to the main thing, you say, nah, not really. Just mainline Islam. And that's the best. It's a good question. Thank you, brother.
Okay, we'll take another question from the sisters in the rear.
Did I turn it on?
It's okay. Come on.
Okay, assalamu alaikum. My name is Sumaya. I'm a grad student doing my English literature. Basically, I have a lot of these relatives, elders, who try to impose weird cultural stuff upon me. And they're elders, so I have to respect them. But I want to kind of not do it, but I don't want to offend them. So how do I get out of the situation without making myself look ugly?
It's a good question. I think all of us have that to some extent, that we have relatives or elders, respected folks in the community, and they'll come up with something and we'll go, huh? Is that Islam? But then, especially those of you who are the youth and you've studied and you've gone to places, seen things online, maybe you've been to some classes somewhere and you come back, you're going, that's not Islam. You borrowed that from the Hindus. You got that from the Christians. This is Buddhism, And at the same time, though, if you damage their dignity, you're committing a sin in Islam. So you're right to respect them. Let's look to the Quran, though, to get the answer. Go to chapter 31, Surah Luqman. It's very clear. I think it's like verse 9, 11, somewhere in there. It tells you clearly what Luqman is saying. He's saying to his son, the first and foremost thing is always La ilaha illallah. That's number one. To obey Allah. Believe in Allah and obeying Him, obeying the messenger, that's Islam. But after that is the respect to the parents, and you obey them in everything except when they want you to do something that's not in Islam. So if they ask you to do something, and you look at it and you say, well, is it in Islam? Well, it's not really against Islam. Try your best to do as much as you can do until it gets to where you're breaking something in Islam. At that stage, you can't. Can I give you one example? A sister came to me right here in this very venue where we are tonight, and she said to me, what do I do about my parents? They have ordered me not to wear the hijab. Muslims. I said, they're Muslim? Said, yes. But they ordered me, do not wear the hijab. This causes problems, blah, blah, blah. A job, a career, education, whatever. Don't wear the hijab. Now I want to go back to what I said earlier tonight about hikmah, wisdom. What do you think I told her? Sister, you have to wear the hijab. Tell them, too bad for you, you're going to go to hell, and like that. No, I didn't do that. I said, tell them, okay, and don't wear it. She said, what? I said, yeah, don't wear it. You don't need to wear hijab. Women do not need to wear hijab as long as they stay home. Right? And then when your parents say, well, go to work. No, I can't. I have to obey you. Huh? Yeah, you said don't wear hijab, so I'm going to stay home. So I can obey you and Allah. Get a job. Can't do it. Get education. Can't do it. You want to put a hijab? No? Okay. Got to obey you. Because I love you, respect you, honor you. I'm going to obey you. Stay home. No, but we want you to go out. Can't do that. I can't do that. But I can obey you. I'll stay right here. How long before they're going to say, okay, put the hijab on and get out of here? Yeah, baby. Same thing. A woman ordered her husband to shave. A woman ordered her husband to shave. She said, I don't like a man have hair on his face. I said, you got to wonder about a woman who wants her husband to look like another woman. But here's what he can do. Here's what he can do. If somebody asks you, do the Muslim men have to grow the beard? What's the answer? What's the answer? I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say no. Actually, it's impossible. You cannot grow your beard. Who here thinks he can grow a beard? Stand up. Go ahead, stand up and grow it. We'll watch. No? Allah grows the beard, right? So tell her, from now on, I'm not going to grow my beard. I won't. Why? I couldn't do it anyway. Allah does it. But I'm not going to cut it off. Because the Prophet ordered us to leave it alone. He never ordered us to grow the beard. The hadith in Bukhari doesn't say grow the beard. It says leave it alone. Leave it. His beard, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was long, and so were the Sahaba's beards long. Not a 2-day growth. Okay? Long beards. Make dua that I'll quit pulling mine out when I'm sitting on the telephone and at the computer. That's what happens to mine. But inshallah, you can work these things out, look and find out what is the real Islam, find out what's cultural and what's against Islam, and then use your wisdom to be able to come up with the answers. And if you have a difficulty, you can write to me at Yusuf@99islam.com. That's YUSUF@99islam.com. And that's how we can take all the rest of the questions. If you want to, we got time to do any more?
No, at this time we're going to bring this portion of the program to a close, sir, if you don't mind.
Let's get off the stage and make room for a real alim.
Alhamdulillah, as we see our next speaker is here. So this time we'd like to thank all of you. We thank our Sheikh Yusuf for being with us this evening. May Allah continue to bless all of you with a pure intention and give us all a good end. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.